The Fates are a common motif in European polytheism, most frequently represented as a trio of goddesses. The Fates shape the destiny of each human, often expressed in textile metaphors such as spinning fibers into yarn, or weaving threads on a loom. The trio are generally conceived of as sisters and are often given the names Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, which are the names of the Moirai, the version of the Fates who appear in Greek mythology. These divine figures are often artistically depicted as beautiful maidens with consideration to their serious responsibility, the life of mortals. Poets, on the other hand, typically express the Fates as ugly and unwavering, representing the gravity of their role within the mythological and human worlds. The Moirai, meaning allotted portion or share, separated each sister into a different role in order to handle the fates of humans. The Fates were expected to appear within 3 days of a mortal's birth. 3 Clotho was the first of the 3, known as the spinner because she wove the threads of human life while in the womb. 4 This act is used to represent her divine duty, also incorporating pregnancies or birth when referring to her. The second fate, Lachesis, is known as the allotter, given the fact that her responsibility includes determining how much mortal life is assigned to the soul of each individual. 5 This, in turn, determines the number of tribulations that individual is predestined to face. The final fate, Atropos, is known as the most stubborn sister of the 3, given the nickname the Unturnable. 6. Atropos is expected to cut off the thread of life, completing the cycle and determining when a human will die. She is typically seen hand in hand with death and the underworld. Once Atropos cuts the thread, each soul is sent to the underworld where they receive judgment and are sent to one of 3 options: Elysium, the fields of punishment, or the fields of asphodel. Elysium is labeled a land for the blessed, whereas those who committed horrible deeds were sent to the fields of punishment. The mortals who lived neither an objectively good or bad life were sent to the fields of asphodel. The Fates have appeared in numerous cultures with similar tales. In Greek mythology, they appear as incarnations of destiny named the Moirai. 9, 10, 11, 12 The Roman counterparts of the Moirai are known as the Parsi. 13 This trio also makes a name in Slavic culture as the Rozanitsi, 14 figures who foretell an individual's destiny. Similar to Greek mythology, the Fates are known as incarnations of destiny called Norns, 15-16 in Norse mythology. The biggest variant within these cultures remains in Baltic mythology, which characterizes the Dives Valdi Toyos 17 as 7 sisters who weave pieces of clothing from the lives of humans. The Fates are 3 Proto-Indo-European fate goddesses. Their names have not been reconstructed, but such a group is highly attested in descendant groups. Such goddesses spun the destinies of mankind. 18. Although such fate goddesses are not directly attested in the Indo-Aryan tradition, the Atharvaveda does contain an allusion comparing fate to a warp. Furthermore, the 3 fates appear in nearly every other Indo-European mythology. The earliest attested set of fate goddesses are the Gulzas in Hittite mythology, who were said to preside over the individual destinies of human beings. They often appear in mythical narratives alongside the goddesses Papaya and Istusteia, who, in a ritual text for the foundation of a new temple, are described sitting holding mirrors and spindles, spinning the king's thread of life. 19 In the Greek tradition, the Moirai, apportioners, are mentioned dispensing destiny in both the Iliad and the Odyssey, in which they are given the epithet kappa theta epsilon, cloths, meaning spinners. In Hesiod's Theogony, the Moirai are said to give mortal men both good and ill, and their names are listed as Clotho, spinner, Lachesis, apportioner, and Atropos, inflexible. 22-23 In his Republic, Plato records that Clotho sings of the past, Lachesis of the present, and Atropos of the future. 24 In Roman legend, the Parsi were 3 goddesses who presided over the births of children and whose names were Nona, 9th, Decuma, 10th, and Morta, death. They too were said to spin destinies, although this may have been due to influence from Greek literature. Late 2nd century AD Greek mosaic from the house of Theseus at Paphos Archaeological Park on Cyprus showing the 3 Moirai, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, standing behind Peleus and Thetis, the parents of Achilles. In the Old Norse Völuspá and Gylfaginning, the Norns are three cosmic goddesses of fate who are described sitting by the well of Ur at the foot of the world tree Yggdrasil. 25-26 Note 1 In Old Norse texts, the Norns are frequently conflated with Valkyries, who are sometimes also described as spinning. Old English texts, such as Rhyme Poem 70, and Guthlic 1350 f, reference Wyrd as a singular power that weaves destiny. Later texts mention the Wyrds as a group, with Geoffrey Chaucer referring to them as the Verdus that we cleep in destin in the legend of good women. 28-24 Note 2 A goddess spinning appears in a bracteate from southwest Germany, and a relief from Trier shows three mother goddesses, with two of them holding distaffs. 10th century German ecclesiastical writings denounce the popular belief in three sisters who determined the course of a man's life at his birth. 24 An old Irish hymn attests to seven goddesses who were believed to weave the thread of destiny, which demonstrates that these spinster fate goddesses were present in Celtic mythology as well. 29. A Lithuanian folktale recorded in 1839 recounts that a man's fate is spun at his birth by seven goddesses known as the Dievs Valdytojos and used to hang a star in the sky. When he dies, his thread snaps and his star falls as a meteor. In Latvian folk songs, a goddess called the Lama is described as weaving a child's fate at its birth. Although she is usually only one goddess, the Lama sometimes appears as three. 29 The three spinning fate goddesses appear in Slavic traditions in the forms of the Russian Ronice, the Czech and Slovak Sudiky, the Bulgarian Naranice or Urusnice, the Polish Rodzanis, the Croatian Rodjanis, the Serbian Sujanis, and the Slovene Rogenis. 30 Albanian folk tales speak of the Fati, three old women who appear 3 days after a child is born and determine its fate, using language reminiscent of spinning. Considering the roles of each divine sister, Clotho is typically portrayed as a younger woman because of her relationship with the birth of humans, whereas Atropos is pictured as an old woman because of her hand in the death of mortals. 32 Each sister has been pictured with a tangible representation of their power, Clotho with thread, Lachesis with an eye-glass, and Atropos with scissors. 33 The Fates make a specific appearance within the artwork of Francisco de Goya's black paintings. These were a series of 14 pieces completed by the artist nearing the later stages of his life. Their dark tone, literally and figuratively, capture the fates holding an individual hostage as they are deciding his destiny. 34 More recently, Anne-Catherine Altwein depicted the Divine Sisters through sculptures that originally resided in the entrance of a German hospital as a means of creative inspiration to patients. Altwein sculpted Clotho as a pregnant woman as opposed to simply holding the thread of life in order to present her in a more positive light. 36 The sculptures have since been moved to the city centre of Jena, also home to the same hospital.